Welcome to this week's Software Showcase. I'm Glenn Oliver, Director of Project Management, and with me I've got Craig Oliver, who's our Director of App Development, and my favorite brother. Yeah. If you're paying attention, the intro that led us to our opening here actually said Mark and Glenn, and you can see I've actually got Craig here. Yeah. Craig is often the guy behind the scenes. You may remember seeing one of the early software showcases, one of our guests, but since then he's actually been the man behind the curtain, making all the magic happen. But this week, Mark actually is taking over that role. Again, we told him it was promotion.
There he is, hiding behind the Wycliffe Associates logo.
There I am.
There you are, Mark.
Just to prove to you I am working today.
So he is still present and with us. It's okay.
I am here.
Indeed.
So I did mention that Craig is a returning guest this time. Mm-hmm. Craig is, again, Director of App Development, which means he actually oversees and has his fingers in a lot of the little projects that are going on. And if you're watching the Software Showcase, it's hopefully because some of the software that you're seeing is stuff that you want to learn about, or maybe software that you actually interact with. Well, hang on today, because we're probably going to show you some stuff you haven't seen it before, or things that you're already familiar with and are brand new. So there's something in it for you. Just hang on tight. So first of all, Craig, what are we going to be talking about today?
Well, today we're going to be kind of rounding up a lot of the smaller changes that have been made over the last few months to many of the pieces of software that some of you use every day. They aren't big enough to warrant their own showcase, but we thought it would be fun to kind of bring them all together and show you some of the new things that are available now. And at the end, I'll be talking for a few minutes about some of the things that are yet to come, not available yet, but that we're working on and we're very excited about.
Fantastic. Well, before we get rolling, let's just do a little bit of housekeeping and remind everybody that you're probably going to be seeing this on YouTube. And if you are, do us a favor. If you could subscribe to this channel. We are just under 70 and our goal is to hit 100. Now, we know how many people are watching this video. We know you're out there. So if you haven't subscribed, do that. You're also welcome to share these links and comment on them actively. That would also help us out. So thank you for your participation. All right, let's get rolling. So what's first up?
So first of all, let's talk about what is new. So these are things that we've been working on that are now available. If you use these apps, they are probably already available to you, or maybe you can download the new version and get them if you haven't updated in a little while. I'm going to be talking about a few different things. Some changes to the BTT Writer app, the Bible in Every Language website, our new Scripture app builder, which is pretty cool. Some updates to our USFM Converter, and finally an app that I'm very excited about, which is our Interleaved Translation Notes. We've had those around for a while, but most people I talk to don't know that it's a resource that exists, and it's a really great resource. So it's one that I'm excited to talk about. And then, as I mentioned, we'll talk about some of the things that are still coming. So first, let's talk about BTT Writer. BTT Writer is a tool that facilitates text translation. If you would like to learn more about BTT Writer, we have a software showcase from a little while back where I went into it in detail. I won't be going in detail today, but its main purpose is to allow a translator to see the source text, consume it as part of the mass process, also consult with the resources that are available for it, and then write the translation. So BTT Writer is a tool that has been around for a little while, and it is available for Android, it's available for Windows, it's available for Mac. That should be Mac, not Max. I was thinking of my friend Max, and Linux. So the main feature that we have added to BTT Writer in the last few months is it now can display resources such as notes or questions for any source text that has them available. Before this, only the source texts that were marked as ULBs would have their translation notes and translation questions available in BTT Writer. And that was most source languages, but not all. So I'm excited to announce that, for example, translation notes and translation questions resources are now available for AYT, which is an Indonesian source language. So I'd like to take a moment to show that off. So let's bring up BTT Writer. Here it is. So here is my project page in BTT Writer. If you don't know what a project is, it is a translation effort for a particular book of the Bible. Again, you can see the software showcase to learn much more about that. What's going to happen is I'm going to load up this project, and it's going to show on the left side the source text. In the center, you will see the target translation text, and then on the right-hand side, you're going to see the resources. So the main thing to note here is that over here on the left, we have Bahasa Indonesia, the AYT version. And over here on the right, we can now see that the notes and questions are available for it. So prior to this version, this would only work if we were using a ULB source. But now, any source language that has notes and questions associated with it can display those in BTT Writer. So if you were using this as your source text, you could read the source text here, you could type the translation in the center, and over here on the right, you can make use of whatever notes and questions are available. So each of these represents a piece of information that you can click on to learn more about. You can look at the questions and see the answer, and so on and so forth. The purpose of these resources over here are to assist the translator in making sure that their translation is complete and accurate, that the important translator's notes and the things like what it would have meant to the folks of the time and other things like that are available to you for review. And there are also comprehension questions for many of the sections to, if you're able to answer the question by reading the translated text, you probably have adequately addressed that aspect of the text that the question is answering. So this is a big deal for those source languages that up until now had to use other resources to get their notes and questions available to them. Now they're folded right inside of BTT Writer. This is version 1.0.5, if I remember correctly, and this version is available right now on the Bible Translation Tools website for downloading. So very excited about that.
And I think we have an upcoming slide later on where we'll actually provide the link for you to see of exactly where to go. So yeah, that's excellent. So if you're not familiar with this program, or you already have a current version and you're like, I really like that feature, I want to get that, you definitely want to follow that link and to install that update.
Very good. So let's talk about the Bible in Every Language website. So we have a few new features that are available on the website. I forget if we have shown downloading Word docs and PDFs from BIEL in a previous showcase. In case we haven't, I will just show it, but I won't go too much into detail in case we've already done that. But the main features that are new for Bible in Every Language website is we now support downloading scripture in both PDF and Word format. So if these are for different use cases. So if, for example, you were downloading scripture that you wanted to disseminate to your church or to your community, PDF might be the better choice for you. So you could download it and print it and do what you needed to do. Otherwise, you might be, for example, downloading scripture to do a next level of checking with the community. So in that case, you could download it in Word format and double space it or take notes on it or whatever you need to do. We also have better support for RTL text, right to left text. So many languages use a script that is read from right to left rather than left to right. Arabic is an example. Japanese is an example, and those texts are better supported now. So more texts will print properly when downloading them as Word and PDF. So in front of us here, this is an example of Urdu. This was downloaded from the BIEL website earlier today, or maybe it was last night. And just an example of seeing the document open in Word, and you can see that the text is indeed right to left. You can see the verse numbers are on the right there. We have verse bridge from 1 to 3, and then so on and so forth. The astute observer will say, hey, wait a minute, I see the word chapter there in English. Shouldn't that be in Urdu? Yes, it should. This is a case where the source text contains the chapter markers in English rather than in the target language. So the software dutifully writes it to the document just the same way. But if the source text does have those chapters translated, the renderer will pick that up and will render them in the target language. So next I'd like to demonstrate downloading a text in PDF and seeing what that looks like. So it looks like my example here is Cebuano, so we'll use Cebuano. So over here we have the Bible in Every Language website. So I'm going to go over here to Cebuano, and we'll take the Cebuano Unlocked Literal Bible. So I'm going to click the download button, and this takes us to our download scripture page, or what we call the scripture builder page. So this is a wizard that you can walk through to get scripture downloaded from just about any resource available on BIEL. There are exceptions to that, but most of them do support this. So we click through the wizard, and this should take us next to a page that gives us some more information that asks us, hey, how do you want this? Do you want this as a PDF? Do you want this as USFM? Looks like that's not available yet. Or an Android app, which I'll talk more about in a few minutes. We already saw DocX, so I'm going to go ahead and click PDF. And now we get some options for what we would like the PDF to look like. So we can change the line height, we can change the columns, whether we want verse breaks or chapter breaks. And here's where we can specify the reading direction. If this is a left to right language or a right to left language, this will alter how the PDF gets generated. You might be asking to yourself, well, can't we just know that it is a right to left language and therefore have it pick that for us? Whether a language is right to left or left to right is known for some languages, but for many, especially new languages that are being
identified.
Yeah, identified, discovered in the field. We meet churches who have languages that we haven't seen before, and we're excited to help them translate the Bible into their own language. In those cases, we don't, that information is not encoded in the source text, so we have to select that. In this case, Cebuano is left to right, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next, this asks us what we would like the file name to be, and then we click download. So it takes it a little bit of time to process that and create the PDF. I don't recall how much time, so I'm actually going to go and grab, I believe I have it already here in my hard drive. Yes, I do. So I'm going to pop that open. And here is the Book of Cebuano as a PDF. You can see it's open here in Adobe Acrobat. So this is what was generated from the website. So if I had chosen double space, for example, this would be double spaced, and so on and so forth. But this is an excellent way to very quickly and portably download the source text and make it available to your church or community. So we're really excited that we have PDF support now, and that our right to left language support is much improved. And if you haven't seen the downloader before, well, now you have.
Yeah, that made it really easy to understand how far along I am in the process, and I'm almost there. It's comforting as it guides me through.
Yeah, I really like the wizard as well. It's nice, and you can also go back if you need to change your mind or whatnot. So next, I'd like to talk about the Scripture App Builder. Conceptually, this is really similar to what we were just talking about. In the sense that you start with some source text that's been uploaded to, say, WACS, or uploaded from BTT Writer or another tool, and you would like to convert it into a form that is easier to use, either a Word document or HTML file or something like that. The difference between Bible in Every Language and our Scripture App Builder... Oh, excuse me, this is Scripture App Builder. I meant to talk about USFM Converter. There we go. We'll come back to Scripture App Builder in a minute. So the difference between Bible in Every Language and USFM Converter is that Bible in Every Language runs online. You need an internet connection to be able to go to the BIEL website and select the thing that you want and click download and walk through that. And the processing happens all on the server side. So we can do some stuff on the server side that would be impractical to do local, like building Android apps, which we'll talk about in a couple minutes. USFM Converter works the other way around. So USFM Converter is a local app that runs on your Windows PC, and it reads the USFM files from the uploaded source text, or from the source text that came from BTT Writer, Autographa, or a variety of other translation tools, and converts that into a different format that's more readable, such as USFM or Microsoft Word. one of the cool things about USFM Converter and BIEL is that although these two are different, they run in different environments, like one runs up on a website and the other runs on your local desktop, they use the same libraries on the back end, the same code on the back end in both cases. So the capabilities of both tools are very similar, and the output from both tools looks very similar. So what we're excited about for USFM Converter is it also now has better support for right-to-left languages, because it gains from the same bug fixes and improvements that we give to the library. And we also have now more support for more USFM markers and many bug fixes. One of the really cool things about building an app that is used by the community and used by lots of different people is that we get feedback from all over the world about stuff that doesn't work. But that's great, because then we can fix it, and now it does work. So one of the pieces of feedback we got was, hey, in our language we use markers that many other languages don't use, or in our particular text we have formatting that other texts don't have. And so if the USFM converter or the BIEL downloader wasn't able to correctly render those, they can give us that feedback, and we can fix it and upload the new versions, and now it does. So there are new USFM markers that we support now that we didn't before, and there's a lot of bug fixes. There are some interesting corner cases. I spent a whole afternoon talking with Ruben Swartz, our developer who works on this, where we were looking at, oh wow, if you have a verse that has a quote within the verse, but then the new verse starts inside the quote, it gets kind of weird. And so we took some time to untie that knot and figure out, well, what should the software do? And then once we figured it out, Ruben implemented it, and then we put the bug fix in there. So that's available now. I'm going to demonstrate USFM Converter very briefly. It works very similarly. So you pop it up on your Windows machine, and you can either drag a folder in here, or you can choose Browse Files. In my case, I'm just going to go over to my downloads and grab some source text. And this says, hey, which files do you want? So this is an opportunity if you don't want front matter, or if there are other USFM files in there that you don't want anymore, you can remove them. And then here, this is going to look kind of familiar. We have our formatting options. So again, we have line spacing, we have columns, we have text direction, very similar to what we saw earlier. And then when I click Convert, it asks where would I like to put it, and here's where we can choose what we would like the output to be. So this supports docx and HTML. So I'm going to choose docx in this case, and I'm going to click Save. Yeah, go ahead and overwrite. That is fine. So it's going to think about it for a minute, and it says, I'm done. That was quite speedy. So I'm going to open up this document in Word, and there it is. So we can see that this is the same text that we saw from BIEL, and it uses the same libraries. The output does look a little bit different because we've customized it, but it's the same text. So pretty exciting.
So are we seeing just a particular chapter, a book, or are we seeing the whole Bible there?
Oh, this is a good question. I think I did the whole ULB. So this is Genesis.
Wait, so that means you just did, in that what seemed like maybe 2 seconds or less, the entire Bible, the entire ULB Bible.
It's pretty fast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, let's see if that's true. Let's hop down here. Oh, there's Mark. Hello, Mark.
Keep going.
All right, so I'm going to scroll down here about halfway, and let's see where that puts us. Yep, we are in the book of Numbers, chapter 4. And if I keep scrolling down, we'll see some more. So yeah, this is the whole Bible. Yeah, it rendered in a few seconds. Ruben is very proud of how speedy our parser is, and it's pretty great. It moves very, very fast.
We have a question from the crowd, and the crowd, of course, is me, because no one's online right now. Craig, this is so amazing. Where would I get this from?
Oh, sure. So the best place to get it is from, let's go, where's my browser? There's my browser. There it is. That's not it. There it is. Okay, so here in, this is the BibleTranslationTools.org website. So this is a great place to start to get any of our tools. From here you can download BTT Writer, BTT USFM Converter, which we just talked about, BTT Exchanger, BTT Recorder. All of these are accessible here from this site. And this also links to other sites that have more resources. This one links to the resources page on BIEL. You can read more about the tools here, what each of them does. And of course, we can just go download them. So if you wanted BTT USFM Converter, you would come right here and click it and get right to the download link for Windows. For BTT Writer, this would, I think, takes you to the releases page, which you can then get the one for your operating system. So yeah, if you have a desktop computer, a Mac, Linux, Windows, you could download it from here. You can download it from the Google Play Store, looks like, or you can download the APK directly.
So it's worth asking. I don't want to have to check this website every day, Craig, because I know you guys are making amazing updates. Is there a way for me to get notified if there are updates that are made?
There sure are. Somewhere around here is a page that we can ask to get notified.
Scroll down and
keep going.
There we go.
There it is.
Yep.
So here you can enter your email address. We promise not to do anything nefarious with it other than notify you when there are updates for BTT Writer or our other tools. So good question. Thanks, Mark.
So before we move on, also I wanted to reiterate. So there's a specific relationship here from essentially a workflow for an event. You might start an event or be continuing an event using Writer to be creating that translation. And now we've just shown two different tools that takes the product of that and says, hey, I want to do something with it. Whether I want to create a Word doc to be able to maybe do some editing or checking, or create the PDF so that I can share or read it on my own, then I have two different tools. And the first of which was, of course, the online version with Bible in every language. And then there was the USFM, which relates because I can do it right there and then. But we have one more that is kind of in that same ballpark. So specifically if I've got a phone.
Yeah. So let's walk back over to there and talk about Scripture App Builder. So this is super cool. I'm really excited to show this off. So this was the result of a lot of hard work by Dan Paris, one of our DevOps engineer, who did a lot of work in integrating an app builder into Bible in every language. So what this does is this works in the same workflow as getting a PDF file that I just showed you for. Going to Bible in every language, clicking the thing that you want. In fact, I'll just start that so you can see what I'm talking about. So let's jump over to, there it is. So let's say I wanted to get a zip file, an Android app for English ULB. So here, just like before, I would say load the repository, but the difference is on this one, I would instead choose Android app. So what will happen next is the system will ask me some information about what I would like. What should the app be named? And the process of creating this app takes a little time. Like, we could generate a PDF pretty quickly, rip through all that text, but building an Android app is a bit more complicated. So the process takes, I think, if I remember correctly, something like 10 minutes or so. So what we do instead of providing you a direct download is we ask you to provide your phone number so that we can send you a text to say when it's ready. I think we also provide a download link as well. I don't think it's purely a text, but I think if I say click make me an app, I'm actually not going to click it because I don't need to kick it off, but we would click make me an app, and then it would go work in the background to build that Android app for us. And now I get to show it off. Oh, I see Mark in the corner. Hey, Mark.
I was just going to comment that we both can collect an email address or a phone number. That you'll always get the email, and that'll have the download link. The reason that we did the text is because then you can text that link to your friends.
Making it easier to share.
When you get it yourself and you install it and you like it and think to yourself, man, I really wish that Glenn and Craig could have this as well. I can just text you that results link, and then you can download it too. You don't have to go through the regeneration process. So that's why we do it as a text. It's very easy then to send it off to your friends' mobile devices.
We need to be looking up here when we're looking at Mark.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
Sounds good, Mark.
Yep.
Very good.
I agree.
Oh, he's gone. So let's say I click that button, and waited the 10 minutes, and eventually I would get the text or the email with the link that says, hey, here's where your app is. So the next thing I would do is I would click that link to download the app to my phone, and then I would install it using the same way you would install any third-party APK on your system. So in my case, I would sideload it into there. Once I've done that, then it would appear on my phone as an icon here. So you can see over here in the center of my screen, you see it says ENULB. So this is the app. I generated this earlier, so to save us a little time in the showcase. But if I click this app, it pops up, and you can see here it loads Genesis 1. So this is the English ULB as an app, and this was generated by the Scripture App Builder on Bible in Every Language just a little while ago. So it is super cool. Like the app is very readable, and you can scroll through the text. We can see we have the verse numbers there. I can navigate through the Bible using this picker on the left. I can choose a book, chapter, and verse, so I can jump to, let's go to one of my favorite verses. Let's go to Philippians chapter 4, verse 8. And you can see here, this is Paul's admonition for the things that we should be thinking about, one of my favorite verses. It supports several other really cool features too, like you can search. I can search for a word. Let's see if I search for the word atone. And you can see it provides me with the results in Exodus and so on and so forth. It supports modifying the view, so I can make the text bigger or smaller. I can change the background color. I can make it easier to read at night. Here on the left, it provides some Bible study tools, or I should say more devotional tools. You can go back to verses that you've looked at before. You can bookmark things. You can make notes. You can highlight the text. It's a full-featured Bible reader app, and this is available for just about any language that is on BIEL. So if you have a language that you would like, boy, I wish there was an Android app for that language. Well, guess what? You can make one. It's so cool. It's really exciting. So many kudos to Dan Paris for putting that together and making it available. That is available right now. You can play with it, build your own apps. Please let us know how you fare. This is pretty new, and we are very much want to hear your feedback of what do you love, what didn't work the way you expected, and so on and so forth.
And not that we're showing it necessarily, but at one point Dan was even able to get some audio playing back. It was actually able to play back audio.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's available today, but
no, we're experimenting with that.
Yeah,
that was really cool.
Yeah, that was super cool.
So that's it. We're done with. No more development needed. We finished everything, right?
No, there's lots to go. Let's see. We talked about that already. We talked about that. Oh, okay. Yeah. This one, I'm almost as excited as the Scripture App Builder for this one. So, the next thing I want to talk about that's available right now is our Interleaved Translation Notes. So the Interleaved Translation Notes are PDF files that weave together the scripture of the ULB along with the translation notes, the translation questions, the translation words, the UDB if it's available, all in one document. All of the resources are linked together, so it's easy to use on a computer and jump right to where you want to. But it's also all available in text so that you can print the document to use as a resource at a translation event if you have a lot of paper. These are pretty big.
How much paper, Craig?
Well, let's see. I'm glad you asked. Let's see. Where is... Well, let me go grab it. I thought I had one already sitting here. Here it is. Okay. So here is the book of Matthew. This is an example of the translation notes. Oh, before I show you, let me show you where I got it from. So just like everything else that we've been showing, or most everything else we've been showing today, you can get this from Bible in Every Language. So here in the ULB translation notes, you can see we have Old and New Testament sections. So these right here are the Interleaved Translation Notes. They're available today. They're updated regularly as the source materials are updated on WACS. And all I did was I just clicked the PDF here next to Matthew to download it and bring it up. And so this is what appears. Let's see. I'm looking for a page count on here. I might have to scroll to the bottom to get it, but there's a lot of pages. So, as an
looks like 2166 there on the top, one of 21 something or other.
Oh, you found it. I was looking for that. I couldn't find it. So yeah. So Matthew, it sounds like, is a little over 2,000 pages.
Book of Matthew. 2,000 pages.
So why is it so huge? It's far bigger than the source text that it's illuminated. So let's have a look. So let me bring over here on the index. Oh, I'd like to see the index. Is this it? Nope. Is that it? Yes, there we go. So we have sections in here after the front matter. So we have a section for every single verse in Matthew. If I click on any of these here, you can see it'll take me to the corresponding page here in the ULB, in the translation notes. Each section of Scripture is very similar. It starts with the Unlocked Literal Bible text, the ULB text, and then it shows you information from the translation notes. So this is translation resources for helping to understand it. Let's see, this page is left blank. Well, that's not a good example. Let me find one that isn't left blank. Here we go. So here you can see we have some notes on that highlight phrases from the ULB to give more information about them. So this talks more about what this phrase means. And you can see here it has a link to euphemism, which is one of our translation words. And we also have a bunch of other translation words that are associated with it. So that would be cool enough. We could go and look them up in our translation words library, but we don't have to because we can just click on this and this will take us straight to the translations words definition for euphemism. And it talks about what it is and describes why it can be difficult to translate. It gives examples from the Bible. And so in addition to that, it also gives you other related translation words. This one gives the corresponding passage from the UDB, and then more information about Gospel of Matthew and so on and so forth. So this is an amazing resource. All of the resources that have been worked so hard to make available to the church, the notes, the questions, the words, all interleaved together in one place. In addition to the text, let's see if I can scroll down really fast. How many chapters there in Matthew? 25? Something like that? 26? 27? There we go. Okay. So in addition to that, we can see that we provide translation questions for each of the chapters. So this is also built right into the document. And every single translation word that is mentioned in the document, there is a section on each one in the back. So this is a treasure trove of information for translating Scripture. It is really, really cool.
And while you would print it out, the advantage here of being digital means that, as Craig mentioned before, anytime that you're looking at this, it's including any updates within the last 24 hours that have been added there. So it's always good to be able to grab this as a reference, and especially perhaps as a new gateway language is being developed. It's a good idea to come back often and see what else has been included. Yeah. But to have all of that information collated right there makes it very convenient. I've had groups of volunteers, and we've worked actively in that section because it's just so convenient for us to do so as it gathers all of our biblical resources in one area.
Yeah, I love how it's so easy to just tap on the thing you want to know more about. Is it a translation word? Is it something in the translation concepts? I have also heard reports from the field of folks who say, this is great, but the way we want to use this is we want to print it out. And, I'm like, that's 2,000 pages. And they say, yeah, but this is how we use it. We print it out, and it's an amazing resource to use over the next 2 weeks, 4 weeks. They pass it out. They pass it around. They use it for information. They have it next to them on the table as they're doing the work. It's an amazing resource. So as I said earlier, it is not new, but it is something that we keep updated. We recently made some updates to it, and something that a lot of people don't know much about it. So I'm happy to highlight it and remind you, hey, it's here.
Yes. So I had mentioned before, like, all the work is done. We're set. We can just go home, turn off the lights, right?
Yeah. Actually, no. we are busy. We are up to our necks in work, and we love it. There is so much yet to do, and we feel really privileged, and we feel the joy of being able to do the work. So here are just some examples of some of the things that we're working on or will be working on soon that is coming down the pike. And some of these may become more showcases in the future. So among those are some user interface updates to port, a public API for port, and if that doesn't mean anything to you, I'll explain that in a minute. The Interleaved Translation Notes that I just talked about, but for any language. And finally, our WACS to DCS, other way around, DCS to WACS mirror. So first I want to talk about the port user interface update. I think we're going to be going into this in more detail in a future showcase, so I'll just touch on it now to say that those of you who use port every day, we have a fairly significant user interface update that is coming from Microsoft. They released it to us some months ago, and we've been working in the background to make sure that it's going to work as well as possible for us and for our users when we release it sometime next month, I think, if I remember correctly. So among those changes that we're going to benefit from is faster load times. All the pages load faster. The forms are easier to use. The filtering, where you have a list of things that you're working with and you want to filter that down. Filters are easier to use. It remembers your filters, so you don't have to enter them every time. The list interfaces are going to be better. It's pretty great. And here's just a quick preview. If you haven't used port before, this is port. If you have used port before, just a couple of the changes to highlight. You'll notice that, which is the left side of the screen. I guess this is the left side of the screen. So you'll notice that many of the options that used to be tucked away in a menu up on the top are now available to you on the left side of the screen. A couple of the other controls have been moved around. In general, the user interface just has a little more room to breathe. It's easier to read, easier to work with. But I'll leave the rest for a future showcase. That is coming. We're working on making that as awesome as it can be. Next is the port public API. So this is mostly for developers. So if you're someone that slings code, this one's for you. So one of the things that I hear a lot when working with developers, and I've run into this myself, is we'll be working on an app or a program to help bring something to the user. Like, for example, the audio Bible translation tools app wants to give you a list of all the gateway languages so that you can pick which language you would like to download the source text in. I think we saw that a little while ago. Well, where does it get that list of gateway languages? Well, right now, we just kind of compile the list, we look in port, get the list, and we put it in the program. And if that list changes, then we have to do that again. We have to go back to port and go find it, and then update the program with the new list of gateway languages. The list of gateway languages doesn't change a lot, but it does change sometimes. Some languages get added, languages get removed. And that's just one example. There are other ones too, like getting the localized name of a language, finding what resources have been published and are available on BIEL. You could go to BIEL and look, but it would be even better if you could programmatically grab that and then make that available to your users. So up until now, it's been kind of painful to get that. You basically have to get a copy and then stick it in your program and then update it later. But one thing that we are working on is, or we'll be working on shortly, is a unified public API. So any program that is interested in getting this public information, like what are our published resources, what are our gateway languages, what are the localized names of the languages that we have resources in, and so forth, can go to one place that is publicly accessible and get that information. So now, instead of having to redeploy your program every time something changes, or have a gigantic database that is just essentially a copy of what's already in port, now you can query these live and get this information much easier. So for end users out there who are just kind of use port to get your work done, this is going to be kind of invisible to you, except that programs that you use in the future may be a little faster or update more frequently than they do now. So as a developer, I think it's super cool. I'm glad that we're working on it. So next I want to talk about another project that's being worked on. This is the Interleaved Translation Notes. Now, we just talked about that. You saw me get really excited about it. One of the limitations of our translation notes is that it's only available in English right now. But we are working to make a similar kind of document available for any language that is supported by BIEL. So That means that if you wanted to do a translation project for a particular language, you could, the idea is you would go to a download page, and one of the things it would ask you is, well, what source languages would you like us to interleave? And what resources would you like us to interleave in there? Do you want us to interleave, like for, if it were Indonesian, would you like the AYT or the ULB? Would you like the translation notes folded in? Would you like the translation questions folded in? So on and so forth. And they would crunch away in the background, kind of like it does now, and then provide you with a PDF of that resource with everything folded in. As awesome as the English resources is, this would be even more awesome because it would be available for any language that has those resources. We've had this requested many times. It's not easy to do, otherwise it would already be done. But we have some folks who are working on it that are they're doing a great job. So we're very much looking forward to that. And finally, the last thing I want to talk about is an automated job that's going to mirror repos from DCS to WACS. If none of the words in that sentence made any sense to you, then that's okay. What this means is when you use a tool like BTT Writer or many of the other tools, you have a choice of what servers you want to upload your translated text to. One of those servers is called DCS. It's hosted by one of our friend organizations that host a lot of translated source text. And so what this project does is this will mirror all of those resources from their server to ours. So this serves a couple of great purposes. One is it provides another copy. So if we go down, there's still copies there. If they go down, there's copies over here. When I say go down, I mean like if the servers crash or we have a hurricane or something like that, we have another copy of the data somewhere. And it also makes a lot of our reporting and other work easier because we have a copy of the data locally instead of having to go across and go get it. So what that's going to look like is in our WACS server, there's going to be an organization called DCS Mirror. And every repo of interest in DCS, which is pretty much any repo that contains a scripture, and repos that have been recently added, will be automatically mirrored every night into WACS. What is a mirror? A mirror means that the copy of the repo on WACS will stay up to date with the copy that is on DCS. So if it's an active project that's being worked on, they're actively uploading translated text to DCS, this will automatically make a copy of that on WACS and then keep that copy on WACS updated. So it makes it easy to find the repos, it makes it easy to report on the repos, it makes it easy to get access to the content without having to ask, well, which server is it on? Is it on this one or is it on that one? Once this mirroring goes live, we will also see those reflected in port repos that are currently in DCS. All of that information that we have careful custodians of, like is it primary or is it active? Is it what level checking is it? What's the resource, et cetera, et cetera. All of that will be migrated over to WACS as well. So you won't need to double enter anything. That will be automatic as well. So we're very excited about that. That is going to be a big boon. So I think that is it.
Well, that was a tremendous amount of information.
Yeah.
But if any of those projects from any part of that talk resonate with you as in terms of something that you are using or interested in using, again, there will be links for where to get that, but you can start at BibleTranslationTools.org or even BibleInEveryLanguage.org, and it has links over to the tools. Also, keep in mind, each of those pages do have an area to sign up if you want more information about that, or even if you're like, I can't remember what they were talking about, I got lost halfway through, and want more information. There's an opportunity to send in a question with that, and of course we'll be able to get back to you. Craig did a great job of kind of talking about what we'll be seeing in a couple weeks. So we anticipate that our next showcase will have Ruben Schwartz here.
Nice.
Yep. To guide us through and talk about all the new changes to the Port UI. Mm-hmm. So if you're not actively using Port right now, you probably will. So it's a good opportunity to get an overview on that. So that's it from me and Craig and Mark.
Still here.
Hey there. Thanks for joining us. Remember, subscribe, comment, and share. You'll really help us out. Thanks.
See
Have
y'all.
a great week.